We've been getting a lot of information about 2021 TVs, so now it's time that we basically do a review of 2021 so far to kind of guide you down the path of what is the best TV choice right now. Now, of course, as I get new information, I always update information. Some people call this flip-flopping. I just call it going with exactly what we know. And so today I'm going to be updating some information, so smack like on this video. I'm getting to the point right now, no fluff, none of that other BS you're going to see on other channels. Let's just dive into it, okay? So for starters, we're going to be talking about some things that are to make people uncomfortable. If you are prone to being triggered by me updating information, now's a good time to leave. All right? Cool. Okay, so 2021 so far is looking like a bad year. We saw the Neo series, we saw the flagship that Samsung had to offer for the 4K line at the QN90A, and we even saw the QN85A junior flagship 4K television, and it's trash. Basically, the real price of Neo is $5,000, like $4 to $5,000. Most people don't have that knocking about in their bank account, and most people aren't going to spend that on a TV. So I think we can cross Samsung off the list because, truthfully speaking, everything Samsung does after their flagship line, which is their Neo QLED, it gets really crappy because then it's like, all right, now you're back to full array territory. And then you only have one full array TV this year, which is the Q80A. And then after that, it gets edge lit. So your odds of getting a great TV from Samsung this year are not looking too great if you don't want to spend the $4 to $5,000. Samsung has been on a really power-hungry greed trip as of late. We can see that with their Samsung Galaxy phones, how before $699 get you a flagship phone, now they want upwards of $1,200 like Apple. They're trying to be Apple. So yeah, I'm not surprised at all. Samsung, we can scratch that entire manufacturer off the list of 2021. They won't get a single recommendation from me all year. Unless anything changes, which I doubt it will, that's just the way it is. So then we move on to Sony. Well, Sony, so far as we know, I've got the A90J coming later this week. So you guys keep an eye out on that. We're going to be reviewing that. We're going to really hit the ground running with that. But that's also a $3,000 TV. And again, most people probably aren't going to put that into a TV. So then we kind of look at the other models and, we have to wait to see what Sony has to say on that. And that's all I'll say there. We'll put a pin in Sony for now because we don't know enough at this point. I do know, though, that they're talking about VRR coming winter of 2021. That's some bullshit. I'll just say that right now. For anybody who is looking for variable refresh rate and all that stuff, that's some bullshit. We can call it what it is. Now, if I'm talking about my particular usage and how I use my kind of TV and setup, I've been telling everybody from day one, don't jump up and down for 4K at 120 hertz. You're not getting that. And we've seen that, right? We've seen with these 4K modes at 120 hertz now, effectively across the board, both from PlayStation and from Xbox, we've seen that you're going to take a hit as far as your graphical quality. You're going to lose the shadow detail. Your draw distances are going to get worse. You're going to have terrible textures. You're missing actual objects like rocks and foliage. Like there's so much that goes wrong when you're going to these 4K modes. So for that, just use the next step down, which is the 4K 60 mode, which still looks incredible. But everybody kind of loses their mind when you talk about new things. So that's what I'll say there. So, again, we're just going to have to put a pin in Sony. But so far, it's looking a little meh for Sony, right? Okay, so then we look at what LG is offering. Well, right off the bat, I can tell you LG is catfishing this year, like hardcore catfishing. They tell you their Evo series is this second generation OLED panel and it's going to be brighter than ever before, up to 20% brighter, and the test measurements have come out. They can't even beat the 2018 LG C8, which was over 900 nits when measured. So I'm just going to put it like this. What is Evo about this? What is evolutionary? What is brand new? I don't know. I really don't know at this point. I haven't seen a single thing, right down to the AI options being exactly the same as last year. They didn't even change the wording a bit. Like it's like a copy and paste. They literally said Control V. So I really don't know what to say about that. We have a couple other things that we do need to talk about though with LG, and that's going to be their C1, and basically the entire 1 series this year is going to be the same 40 gigabits per second. So at this point, we can assume that the cheaper A series is going to be total dog shit with the lowest end OLED panels they could possibly throw in there. I'm just going to just put that out there. They're just trying to make it seem like it's nice. But we've seen some really terrible things out of OLED with the budget kind of range of what you can do. So I will just kind of not even waste my time on a 60 hertz OLED panel. Like, I really wouldn't waste my time with it. Just simply because it's supposed to be this premium thing and they're still charging a lot of money for 60 hertz. So here's what I'll say. The LG C10, the LG B10, those are the two OLEDs you need to be buying from LG. Don't waste your time on really anything else. There's really no need, because at this point, they've all but confirmed that all they did was add a game optimizer mode this year, and that's their big hoorah. That and changing the user interface, changing the remote. I mean, that's really what you're paying for. If you think that little facelift is enough on that old broad, by all means, go for it, but I ain't with it. Now, we can talk about some other things that LG has done this year, like, I don't know, I'm grasping at straws here. I'm literally like trying to find something LG did. And I could maybe say add maybe like extra buttons on the remote for Disney. I mean, I don't know if that's your thing. I mean, really, the Gen 4 isn't really looking like much of a facelift. I'd have to see the C1. Obviously, I'll review it, but so far, I will say that the C10 still looks like the better option right now. You're just better off doing that. It's got 4 HDMI ports, so they're 4 HDMI 2.1 ports. So you're probably better off just doing that over something like the B10 if you're like serious about gaming in general, and you want some form of your HDMI 2.1 capabilities, and that's what you care about, then cool. Otherwise, just save the money and go with the B10 because it has better color overall anyway. And that's just how it is. Like, it's definitely a lot better for color volume. So it's not as bright, but you have your things you have to weigh up. Okay, so then now we kind of get to the nitty gritty, right? That kind of leaves like everybody else, right? And so what I kind of wanted to do was round out this podcast by basically giving you guys the best TVs. Okay, so the best non-HDMI 2.1 budget TV that you can afford right now is going to be the Hisense H9G. There isn't anything better that you can find at the budget level that is going to be better than that TV. So just do that if you're looking to save some money and get a kick-ass TV, high-end performance, brilliant HDR, go for that. The best TV under $500 is going to be the Hisense H8G. That has not changed. That's still going to be your best bet. If you want the best VRR TV that's under $1,000, the TCLR 635 is like literally your really only clear option there. The mini LEDs do create some blooming, but the black levels are promising enough. And then you have Quantum Dot Color. I mean, it's just a total win when you talk about the VRR capabilities and it being under $1,000. I mean, you're talking like $599, $699 all day, every day. It's a good deal. And the 75-inch was like $13.99. I mean, that's stupid good. So yeah, definitely an option for you guys. Now, the best 85-inch TV under $3,000 is the Vizio P-Series Quantum X 2020. So they call it the 2021 line, but it's the 2020 version of that TV. That's going to be your best bet because, again, you're not really going to find a whole lot that's going to give you that kind of screen size with quantum dots, with deeper black levels and things like that. And the Vizio does more than enough. And it also throws out a good amount of peak brightness at you, so you should be more than fine. Now, we're going to talk about the best OLED for gaming specifically. As I was mentioning earlier, the LG C10 is going to be that for right now because, simply put, there's just nothing that's going to beat it as far as having 4 HDMI 2.1 ports. I mean, Sony has 2 this year, even on their $3,000 flagship A90J. You've got Samsung with their 1 on their flagship 4K display. So really, you're just kind of sitting here like looking at LG because they're basically the only real option that you have outside of maybe Vizio. But Vizio's really glitchy. So, I mean, it still goes back to LG. So they're the best for gaming specifically. Though if you're a future-proofer and somebody looking to take advantage of future-proofed content, this is not the TV to get, and you're just going to unfortunately have to wait until things get better. Now, the best bang for your buck OLED TV is going to be the LG B10. There just is not a single OLED that is going to give you the value that this thing is going to give you. It has A8G quality, which I tested myself, beating out my Sony in some areas and holding its own very well in others. It was an incredibly impressive TV, and I really do love and still miss this TV. So Yeah, it's a great OLED. I really did like that one. Now, the best OLED for movies and TV shows is going to be the Sony A8H. So the A8H is going to have the X1 Ultimate upscaling chip, and that does wonders for things like YouTube and for even just streaming in general. And when you watch movies on it, it's really sharp and it's just a wonderful treat, especially when you go into the reality creation and you raise the resolution a bit. It's just a lot of fun, and I think that a lot of people will be very happy with this particular display, albeit you will run into some motion artifacts that you can find in some movies from time to time. So it's good, but then also bad in some areas. So that is something you have to weigh up. Personally, if I'm being completely transparent, I do feel that LG's motion is a lot better than Sony's. So either one of the LGs will still be better than Sony in that regard when you're talking about motion artifacting. But then the overall resolution and color accuracy is kind of better on the A8H for movies and TV shows for some areas. So it's a really hard pick. You're really, for this tier, you're really going to be between the C10 and B10 and the A8H. And honestly, it can lean in either direction depending on what you put on the screen, with a slight lean towards the A8H. And ultimately, the A8H does take it because it is more versatile with streaming content. So that's why I got the pick here. And lastly, the best 32-inch TV you can pick up right now would probably be the Q50R, the Samsung Q50R to be specific. You can still find it on Amazon. It's still relatively cheap, and it is a solid buy. But ultimately speaking, there isn't going to be a thing else outside of that that's going to satisfy the 30-inch, 32-inch kind of market, because that's a kind of forgotten screen size nowadays. Everybody wants to make that edgelit, so they did a really good job with what they kind of produced in the Q50R. So with all this said, I just wanted to kind of round it out. Essentially, 2021 is looking like a bad year again. We're just kind of getting information, and it's all lazy crap, downgrades. I don't really care what their reasoning is at this point. They really just didn't try as hard as they should have. So all I'm doing now is just updating the information to let you know that change. And I know I was telling everybody to wait until 2021. It'd probably be a great year. Maybe later on when the Chinese brands show up with, TCL with the OD0 and Hisense with whatever they're doing, TCL with their new 6 series. But right now, as we sit in March 23rd of 2021, it's not looking good. Sony basically has a really expensive TV, and there's not much information on their TVs. They're probably the only other ones I would say we could look out for. But other than that, LG is basically doing exactly what they did last year with some slight changes. I mean, I don't think I would pay more for that. I would probably wait for the C10 to go on sale for that. You know what I mean? It's not that not to say that what LG is doing is going to be bad, but I just don't. I'm not going to put a lot of stock in it. Now, to be fair, we still have to see what they do with their nanocell TV, but honestly, I don't expect much from it because OLED has always been where LG puts their cards. But even still, there's still some maybe room to say that they can improve upon what they've done because they're going mini LED this year. But if I swear to God, if their mini LED is anything like all the other mini LEDs I've seen, it's going to be a blooming mess. And if you put that behind an IPS panel, it's probably going to be even more disgusting than it was before with some crazy bad hotspots, but we'll see. Then again, we have, other brands like Samsung. They're completely just off the list this year. They didn't try. They've killed themselves. There's no point to waste your time with the Samsung TV in 2021. And then outside of that, we've really just, it's like a waiting game, really. And for that, you're really better off if you're not a serious future proofer, you're better off just getting kind of anything because you'll be good to go regardless. But if you're somebody who's hell bent on HDMI 2.1 features and that's what's doing it for you right now, you're going to be in for a wait because those TVs and the 4K at 120 hertz technology, it's not at its prime yet. So you're just kind of getting whatever they give you. But that being said, I really hope that you guys found this helpful. Thanks for watching the #1 brand in honesty and being a part of this podcast. And until the next video, I'll see you guys later.